Hello and welcome to another ESPN FC quiz. We've seen Ali Moreno against Shaka Hislop. Now it's a heavyweight battle between Gab Marcotti and Julien Laurens. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Nervous.
I feel the pressure, Mark. I feel the pressure.
We'll start with question 1. 3 people have won the World Cup as a coach and player. Gab, can you name 2 of them?
Yes.
Why just 2? What just 2? He has to name the 3. He has to name the 3.
Okay, I'm going to say Didier Deschamps, Franz Beckenbauer, and Mario Zagallo.
So you're correct with all 3. However, Jules, was Gab's pronunciation of Didier Deschamps good enough to get a correct answer?
Definitely not. You don't say the P, you don't say the S at the end. He said the P.
I'm speaking in English. I'm not speaking in
I don't
French.
care. I don't care.
French with Deschamps.
I don't call you Gabriele. Do I call you Gabriele? No, everybody calls you Gabriele because that's your name. His name is Deschamps, not Deschamps.
Point to Gab, but work on the French pronunciation, Gab. Okay, Jules. Miroslav Klose has scored the most goals ever in World Cup history, but how many has he scored? Is it
16? Oh, sorry. There's a.
By the way, I can only give you a point for that. But if I could, I'd give you 473 points because I was going to give you multiple choice. You didn't even need that. That's 1 point apiece. It's great. I've got nothing to keep score here, so be nice to me. So that's 1-1. Okay, next for Gab. Which nation, Gab, finished 3rd in the first World Cup in 1930?
The United States?
Correct. Gab leads 2-1. Okay, question, whatever it is.
Then.
He was born before that, Jules. Come on. Jules, what was the score of the opening match? Oh, come on, really, this question? Of France 98 between Brazil and Scotland?
So I would say 2-1 to Brazil.
Burley played, but he didn't do very well, clearly. You're right. Indeed, it was Brazil 2, Scotland 1. Okay, next. I scored the last goal in the 1970 World Cup, not me. Who am I?
Okay, so this is to me, presumably. 1970 World Cup final, Brazil against Italy 4-1. Pelé scored the first goal. Carlos Alberto obviously scored the goal that everybody remembers in the game. Was that the last goal? I have no freaking idea, but I'm going to say yes, Carlos Alberto.
Correct, Gab. Well done. Next. Well, start getting questions right then, Jules. Who's the only country to have appeared in every single World Cup tournament, Jules?
I'm going to say Uruguay.
Wrong, Brazil. Do you know what? When I first asked that question, I saw Gab's face and he's like, come on, you're giving him the easy questions and you're giving me the hard questions. But you got it wrong. You can get 16 goals from Miroslav Klose, but you can't get Brazil.
Because I thought too hard. I just thought too hard. The first one.
Jules, like in life, darling, don't overcomplicate things.
You're right.
Next, Gab, 3-2 up. How many times has Holland played in a World Cup final, Gab?
1974, where they lost.
Just give the answer.
I'm trying to get some context. All right, fine. Just quickly. All right. Philip says you. 1974, 1978, when they drew with Argentina and then lost in extra time. And then I'm going to say South Africa 2010, which makes it 3.
It makes it 4, Gab, because that's your total, having got it correct.
Oh my God. These are too easy, these questions.
Gab, Brazil was the easiest question of the lot here. You got that wrong. Just quiet. Okay, Gab is 4-2 up, and this is for Jules. In his 1945 essay, The Sporting Spirit, what English writer referred to serious sport as, quote, war minus the shooting? So we're looking for a famous English writer, basically, around about 1945.
I don't know. Sorry.
Gab, do you want to steal?
See, the interesting thing here is obviously it would have to be somebody who was also aware of football. And given how class-based and snooty the attitude towards football has historically been from the literary community, okay. I have no idea. I'm going to say PG Woodhouse.
Okay, you're both wrong, but I'm still going to give this point available. It wasn't his most famous novel. First person to get it right after I give you this gets the point. His most famous novel, I think, was 1984.
George Orwell. I said
it first.
I said before. I said before.
By the way, I'm in the living room, right? See behind me, I've got all my 2-year-old's toys. I could actually give it to you two to play with.
George Orwell. I said it again.
No, I said it first. I swear I said it first. And considering I'm French, I deserve that point. 4-3.
You know what? Gab, to be fair, I want to make this a spectacle, and I want people to stay tuned because they're on the edge of their seat. Gab, sorry, but Jules, 4-3.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just heard it. Plus, being in the United States here, there is a bit of a delay, so I did hear Jules first. That's my story.
Because I said it first, because it's that simple. I said it first.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Okay, next for Gab, 4-3 up. In Brazil's embarrassing 7-1 defeat to Germany in 2014, who scored their consolation goal for Brazil in the 90th minute? That's a tough one, even though it was only 6 years ago.
Yeah, and even though I was at that game, Andre Schürrle scored Germany's final goal, if I'm not mistaken.
But that's not the question. Jules is ready to steal here. This is like an episode of Bullseye from back in the day. He's got his fingers. The light is on.
I'm going to say Fernandinho, but I have no idea.
Jules to steal and go 4-4.
I'm going to say Fred.
Oscar. Tough.
Oscar, yeah.
Jules, I believe. 4-3 down. Chance to equalise with this question. Who's the youngest player to ever score in a World Cup, Jules?
Pelé.
4-4. Yes. Gab, who's the oldest player to score at a World Cup?
I was going to draw this out, but since you don't like it when I do that, I'll just say Roger Milla.
If you were going to draw it out, how would you do that, Gab? What would you have said?
With the goal. The celebration.
I would say that it was against Colombia, as I recall, in 1990. And one of them was Rene Higuita being silly, and the other one was just a really good goal.
Right. Okay. You get the point if... Because you said it was 1990, it was 1994. You've got to recreate.
Yeah. You should not get the points.
Jules, enough. You're already nearly on a yellow card. You're likely to get the point, Gab, if you can do what Jules did and replay the goal celebration that Roger Milla did at the corner flag. On you go, Gab. This is for the point.
I honestly do not remember this, but I'm going to steal since I just saw Jules do it. Is it something like this?
No, it's not at all. It's not. That's not doing well enough.
Dude, you were 5 years old in 1994. What do you know?
Gabriele Marcotti, congratulations. This is one of the biggest achievements of your career.
Jen was not expecting this.
Yeah, you won 5-4. It was tight. It was tight.
Jules, I gave you a point when you weren't even first, when you shouted George Orwell. You didn't get Brazil having played in every World Cup.
You got easy questions, like, you know.
Jules, which team is the only team to have played in every World Cup?
Brazil!
You will never forget that answer. Not Uruguay, though. Gentlemen, thank you for playing. Gabriele Marcotti, your prize for winning is nothing but bragging rights on FC the next time that you are on with Jules. Jules, you have any final words for the winner?
I would like to say to all my fans around the world, I'm sorry I let them down, but I'll come back stronger. And thank you, Mark, for getting up so early.
You're welcome, Gabriele Marcotti. Finally, you have a winning speech. Pretend this is the Oscars, but please remember, keep it to 45 seconds and don't wake my child up.
I'd like to thank all the people out there in my team, all the people behind the scenes, Stevie here, who was Googling away and feeding me the answers on this blackboard. It's just out of shot that you can't see. And it takes a team effort. It takes a village. Thank you all.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.